Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Panthers go down against the Seattle Seahawks. Not a pretty game as far as the weather and just what happened out there in the field. Joining us live on the phone right now, Sports Director Nick Carboni. Carboni, what happened, man? What happened?
Well, Nick, I think what happened was fans are extremely stung by not a loss to the Seahawks, who of course are one of the best teams in professional football, but the loss to the Seahawks paired with the simultaneous loss by the Buccaneers to the Miami Dolphins, which of course, had the Panthers won their game, would have meant they would be a playoff team with a week to spare. But it comes down to Week 18, which I think we all have seen coming for the better part of the last month, really, especially when you look at the Panthers' pattern of win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. And as for what happened during yesterday's game, I just think the Seahawks defense presented a whole lot of challenges, problems, and even confusion for the Panthers' offense and really shut it down. Could not get much going in the run game and couldn't get basically anything going in the passing game. Bryce Young, a career low for any of his NFL starts with just 54 yards through the air, which is quite jarring to see in a professional football game. But if you consider the factors of the offensive line struggling a little bit against the Seahawks front seven, and then the receivers certainly struggling against the Seahawks secondary, it's hard to get the ball anywhere to be in a good position for a Panther to make a play.
I mean, to your point, man, Seattle probably has the best defense right now in the league. At least they're playing like it. Again, Bryce Young, not a great day in the air, but, one of the things from fans, the play calling. It's frustrating to see the offense like that. What's the vibe in the locker room? You were there, obviously, yesterday, but what's the vibe in the locker room? Are they just as frustrated?
I think the vibe in the locker room was determination to go out next week and sweep the Bucs and make the playoffs. I think when you have a situation like that where it really, once you lose the Seahawks game, it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't affect your ability to go win this week and get in. So that's where all the focus needs to be. And I really think it was there from the jump. I mean, they talk about 24-hour rule. I'm not sure the Panthers had 24 minutes to really dwell on the Seahawks loss because they know they still control their own fate. They know that they've had success against the Buccaneers in the last couple of weeks and that Tampa is sliding, and this is, again, a major opportunity. And they also had to figure, and it came to fruition, that they're going to play on Saturday instead of Sunday, so they get a little bit of a short turnaround. So that just kind of sharpens the focus anyway. You've got a group of guys on this team, Nick, as young as the team is, there's a core of, kind of quasi-veterans like Derek Brown, J.C. Horn, and others, Taylor Moton, who's been here for a long time, who, have been here a handful of years plus, but haven't tasted the playoffs. And it's right there for them. And, for 2 months, every time it was right there for them, that's when they'd have the letdown. They can't have a letdown this week, but they're coming off a loss. And, we know what the formula has been since October 19th, Nick. It's alternate weeks, so I guess they're due.
It's a moment. You talk about those quasi-veterans, like the J.C. Horns, Taylor Mowens, also Derek Brown. I think about a guy like J.C. Horn, right, who has played great a majority of the season. Man, what a penalty on that face mask. And then I think back to a couple of weeks ago, Chris Olave giving up that big play.
Yeah.
Is the moment too big for this team? I get
until they prove otherwise, Nick. Sorry to cut you off, but I think that's a great question. Until they prove otherwise, then yes. But that is the next phase in this Panthers team's development. Because listen, as many letdown losses as there have been this year, and it'll kind of be remembered regardless of what happens next week, as an up and down season with all these big wins and letdown losses. This has also been a season of progress for the Panthers. They've got 8 wins with a chance at 9, which they haven't done in 8 years when they won 11 games in 2017. And that's the last time they made the playoffs 7 seasons ago. So, yes, I think that point to what you're alluding to can you now take advantage of this opportunity in front of you to be that upper echelon team in the NFC? Until they do that, then yes, the moment has been too big for them. To put it on any individual player as being too big for them, I'm not sure you could say that. J.C. Horn has had big moments, and he's had winning moments in victories and in losses this season. But, obviously mistake to get the hand that high, just a backbreaker at 3rd and 20. And another play I'd love to have back was the dropped interception. And Panthers Derek Brown had one of those too, but J.C. Horns was a little bit of an easier degree of difficulty. So there's less than 5 plays this year I think J.C. Horn would really love to have back, and 2 of them happened yesterday.
When we look, obviously the season, look, Panthers could still make the playoffs. Obviously, they have one more game against the Bucs Saturday. But when we step back and look at this season so far, what's your biggest takeaway from this team?
I think that it took a step forward overall. Like I said, it's been volatile. It has been a roller coaster. Every time they're up, they go down. Every time they get a big win, they have the letdown loss. Every time they have an opportunity to win the division, seize control of the division, they give it right back to the Bucs. But I think when you look at the overall roster construction, it is better. The depth is better. The rookie class has performed very well. Probably the best rookie class we've seen around here in quite some time. Certainly in the David Tepper kind of era, cycling through coaches and general managers. So I think there is progress been made. I think Bryce Young's play, although, listen, 54 yards yesterday, it's like not what you want to see in a box score from your number 1 overall quarterback. But I think he has kind of steadied a little bit, even from the beginning of this season. I think his poise has been better this year. He's taken a step forward with that. So I think across the board you see development, you see progress, but it's paired with this position you're in because the division is so bad and the Bucs are finally starting to lose their grip on the NFC South, where all of a sudden you're the Panthers in year 2 of this process with a chance every week to do something, and you're just not there yet. So that's why it's kind of frustrating to watch, but also at the same time it's been a fun season.
How would you describe, and before we get to Tampa Bay real quick, how would you describe the Bank of America Stadium? Because, I mean, I remember when I first got here a couple of years ago, and even before then, oh, man, every home game felt like an away game. But from this season, how has Bank of America, the atmosphere there, changed?
I will let the Charlotte Fire Department whiz by real quick and do their job. But, yeah, so there's a couple things, Nick, and I've been here, this is my 10th season. There's a couple things I have not personally seen at Bank of America Stadium that I have now seen in the last 2 weeks. And one of those is the crowd basically causing teams to call timeouts, teams to take delays of game, teams to false start. That is a new thing for a lot of us that haven't been here for more than 10 years. I would also say, and now I kind of lost my train of thought a little bit, but, these atmospheres. The other one was I haven't had to watch the offense quiet down the crowd when they're trying to work either. So that is kind of a realization that the bank is back. Life has been breathed back into it. People are starting to believe again, despite kind of the up and down nature of the season. And that's been fun to watch, especially here in the last few weeks. So would have loved in the last 2 weeks for them to be able to clinch it at home. That would have been a wonderful sight to see. They had 2 chances to do it, couldn't do it. But hopefully there's a win this week on the road in a home playoff game, and I think you're going to see the best atmosphere we've seen since the 2015 NFC title match.
Carboni, one last question before I get you out of here. Tampa Bay Bucs, we go to Tampa. What are you looking out for? What should fans keep their eye on? Because that matchup, a couple of weeks ago against the Bucs, the Panthers were able to make some big plays. That was a home game. We're going to Tampa this time. What do you have your eye on this week?
Listen, I don't think there's any doubt, especially in this division, that you're just going to have a dogfight on Saturday afternoon in Tampa. The Bucs are in a backslide. Their backs are further pressed up against the wall than the Panthers. Their coach his job is on the line. Baker Mayfield isn't going to do himself any favors with his future there if he has another poor performance. They're getting older as a defense, and obviously Mike Evans getting older too, although I think he'll still be kind of haunting the Panthers for a few more years at least. So when they stepped off the field, Nick, after last week's loss at Carolina, I saw the looks in their eyes, and I've seen it around here, unfortunately, way too many times in the last 10 years, and that was a team that is just broken and can't find a way to fix it. I don't know if there's anything that makes anybody down there think they can fix it all of a sudden, because they've only won one game since Halloween, and that was against the Arizona Cardinals, who are not in the playoffs, and the Panthers should not have lost their game to them in week 2, but that's the only team Tampa's beaten. They've lost 7 of 8. They've lost a handful in a row. They've lost to really bad teams lately. So just the dynamic of the two teams being here at 8-8 is completely different, or 7 and 9, I believe, for the Bucs now. And from a personnel standpoint, I mean, the secondary is where you want to attack. I would fully expect Bryce Young to have 54 passing yards by hopefully some point in the second quarter, if not sooner, against a secondary that just cannot play the way head coach Todd Bowles, and that's his specialty, cannot play the way he wants them to. They make egregious mistakes in that end of the defense, and on special teams and elsewhere as well. And then defensively for the Panthers, this has been an opportunistic defense of late. I mean, they had a couple of turnovers yesterday. Should have had a few more. Obviously did so against the Rams, sealed the Bucs win with a turnover as well. So I think you look to take advantage of a Baker Mayfield that has been banged up, and he's kind of turned into that turnover-prone quarterback again. And I think Carolina's ready to seize upon that. So as much as you kind of look at the Bucs' offensive personnel, and they're getting Bucky Irving back, and getting Chris Godwin back, and they have Emeka Egbuka, and they have Mike Evans still, like, there's still an offense that just can't put it together, and a quarterback that is having trouble holding on to the football. And Carolina's been opportunistic of late, so I think that's going to be a big key.
Yeah, despite that crushing loss against the Seahawks, Carboni, a lot of optimism here in Charlotte. Carboni, thank you for your time. Look, we can catch Carboni. If you missed this interview, of course, the interview is going to be up on our digital platforms. But Carboni is going to be on Panthers on the Plus tonight at 9 p.m. All throughout the week, you'll get a bunch of Nick Carboni. Carboni, thank you for your time, man.
Hey, it's a good reason to be busy, and we've waited for it for a long time, so I love it.
We got to get Carboni to the playoffs. All right, thank you, Carboni.